Alrighty folks, well, this is the next video and we're going to get into some UI views, some UI router nested views. Um, so let's first start off. If you remember, we've got our home and our about. And that's our nav bar and then our UI view, and our about is getting populated into this UI view. So in our about, what we're going to do is we're going to start setting up some views within this about. So maybe on the about page, we'd have, I don't know, like a description or like some sort of content about us, some component on the side of the page that might only take up like one section of a page, and then there might be something else over here, and then something like full screen down here. And each of those, if they have their own functionality, should be separated out into different components so that you have that separation of concerns. Um, so that when other people come and look at your code and what you're writing, it's very easy for them to find what they need to find. And also, if you came back to your code, it would be very easy for you to find something that maybe you haven't looked at in a while. So let's start with the about state. And in the about template, we've just got this. So let's go to hipster ipsum. Not hipster, ipsum. And let's get some awesome paragraphs of lorem ipsum, but they're hipstery. Boom. All right, and then maybe we can put in like, I don't know, a subhead. This is what I am all about. Hipstery. Awesome. And that should be loading up into our template here. Awesome. And so that's loading up nicely. Now, say we had a different form, like some contact form down here that we wanted to have like a separation of concerns and have the contact form be its own component. What we can do is we can start writing out this form. So I'll just say form input type text, and then input, and I'll just say like placeholder, and just say like email, or sorry, name, email, or phone, email, and then we can do like a text area. Right? So that's there, and then I'm not going to style this or anything. This is just so you can get the hang of it. So you got your input, and then you can get your input, and then type, and we'll just give it a submit, just so we have a button in there. Awesome. So we got our submit button. It's great. Cool. So we have our form going on. Everything looks so wonderful. Not. And if we come back to home, it all goes away. Come back about. It's like its own page. So, but say we wanted to, get rid of this form, and this is not form. This is from. So form. Say we want to get rid of this form and put it into its own component. So let's make a new directory and say about form, and then make a new file, about form.component.ts, and then a new template and say about form.html. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take everything I just wrote in here and just copy that out and paste it into here, into the about form template. And now that's not showing up here, obviously. And then I will just copy this about component and just paste it in here and then say about form and say about form as the HTML selector if we were to use one, and then the about form.html. Awesome. And if we still click on about, nothing happens. And so what we need to do is we need to specify that we only want that form populating on a certain part of this about template. We don't want it populating on the home. We want it populating on the about template and only on the about template. So how we do that is we go into our routes. And in this route, we give this a view object. And when you have this views object, you can't have a component. So what you do is you set whatever that component would be, which before it was about, would be set as default. And you would actually set default as its own object and say about. And so now if I load this up, this should still work just perfectly fine. Same sort of thing. So this is basically the same thing as writing component and writing about. Same thing. However, if you have views, this doesn't work. So what you need to do is you say views, default, and then your component for your default template component. So now it's like, okay, when we click this link, we want to load this as our default component. So now in here, I need to say that I want to use a view. And how you do that is with strings. You say, okay, I want to use an about form, and then I want to tell it what template to get that about form view from, where to put it. So the about form at about. So you're referencing this name right here. And then you say component and then about form. All right, now if I do that, that's set up in the routes, but then our form still isn't showing up. You can see that it's not showing up still. So what we actually need to do is in the template, we need to tell it where we want that form to show up. So let's just get a, let's see, where's my soft wrap? Nope, doesn't want to work. Okay, I'll just do this so I can. All right, so what we need to do is actually give it a UI view, but give it a name. And that name is going to be the same as right here. Whatever that is before the at, about, or app, whatever your root or parent template is, this is what the name for the UI view will be. So in here, we'll say about form. All right, guys. So I was totally blind. It's late. I'm tired. But what we need to do is whenever you're using the routes um, on a component, um, in order for that to be read, you need to give that route or that component the director of the UI router directives. So now you can see that in our route, we can say about dash form, and then we can come down and do about form in the UI view, and we click about, and bam, look at that. Here's our template, about h4p, about h4, and then the paragraph tag, and then we have our UI view, which is this is populating this form. And you can see the about form right here. So that's awesome. So now let's just do one more so I can show you guys what's going on. Let's do another section with, like, I don't know, a list. So let's say, for instance, we have another directory here of about list. about friends, and say file new about dash friends dot component dot ts, and then say about friends dot html. And we can copy this, go into the about component or about friends component and say about friends. And then in the about friends, we can just say it's a UL and an LI of Bob, Joe, Sally, Hector, and Sam. All right, still not populating. So what we need to do is in our about template, we need to say UI view. And we can say name about friends. All right. It's still not populating because we need to go into the routes and we need to say about friends at about and give it the component of about friends. Put it there. We still see nothing. Let's just make sure that that is all written out right. About friends, about form. Just for my sanity, I'm going to restart the browser or the server. Let that restart. We still got nothing. Oh, it's because we're referencing the about form. We need to reference about friends. And then we also need to say that this is about friends. Look at that. It's popping up right here, right where we wanted it. So now let's take that about friends, and in the next episode of this series, we'll start taking all this content and putting it into our classes so that the classes control the data and what's outputted on the screen, and we're not hard coding and putting out static content onto the screen here. All right, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you like the video, subscribe. That'd be awesome. Thanks. Peace.